Woo! Back at it again, boys, with another video for you. Oh man, today's news story is probably gonna not make a lot of you too happy, but we have to talk about this stuff. Welcome, fine Mavericks, to another great episode of the News You Missed, the video game news show that seeks to recap news that you might have missed that will be important to the video game industry at large, but more importantly, to you. We're gonna talk about, Nintendo banning people for altering their save files. Sorry if you're watching from prison. You're watching my show. It's nice, but I apologize. You know, you probably got in there for hacking your save files. Yeah. This is madness? Madness, you say? This is Nintendo! And anything's possible for Nintendo. In our current era, companies keep making and taking more liberties from us and freedoms from us and instituting more rules and laws in regards to just playing video games on their consoles. A very, very bad time for consumers, that's for sure. So we're going to talk about that in today's video. Yeah, it's basically where if you hack your Nintendo Switch and alter your saves, you might be doing some hard time. I'm not joking. This isn't my joking face. I'm serious. You might go to prison. Long story short, if you just came here for the story itself, it's pretty much Nintendo making it illegal with law enforcement to alter your save files on your Nintendo Switch, and likely other systems from Nintendo as well. The Wii U's still around, the 3DS is still around, so the repercussions for doing this could not only ban your system and ban your account pretty much for life, but also institute a prison sentence for about 5 years. But if you get lucky and you don't get sentenced to prison for any given time, there could be a fee of around 5 million yen. Or it could be a combination of both, meaning that you would end up paying a fee between 1 and 5 million yen, and 1 to 5 years, depending on the severity of your modifications to said save files, and the Switch itself. Course. With all that said, all this information comes from the site, which I assume was originally in Japanese text, and I have since translated with Google. There's going to be a few errors, but it basically explains how this works. As stated, I'll read exactly what it states. What makes illegal by legal revision? All of the following acts become illegal, competition, and become illegal. Again, the errors are there, but try to follow along. Acts 1. Remodel game save data tools and programs of the transfer, such as Act 2. Serial code software maker is not licensed, the product key by itself or sent to the internet auction, etc. can be posted on the internet. Act 3. Save data remodeling behalf of the game equipment we carried out remodeling agency. That's really hard to figure out, but basically they're just saying if you alter your save data or do a number of other illegal activities that we already know are illegal, but it's just outlining them. Now, what ends up happening is that it's just explaining also the unfair competition aspect, and the website goes on to explain what we know as equal and fair competition on online games. What we know with many online games is being set on an equal playing field, and that being massively important because those games will not succeed if people buy their way to victory unfairly. This is why pay to win causes problems, because when you pay for weapons that are locked behind a paywall that no one else can earn, it might give you an edge over someone else if said weapons are better than the ones that can be earned naturally without paying for them. For those reasons, it's important to have an equal, fair experience, and not having an equal experience can kill a game, and has in the past. Another reason why companies do not permit online hacks. You guys remember those 10th prestige lobbies? Modern Warfare 2 is a really good example. It was completely taken over by people who JTAG'd their Xboxes to allow the lobbies, like 10th prestige lobbies, and had things like unlimited ammo, infinite health, aimbot, and clipping, no clipping, so they could just go through walls and stuff. While it seems harmless at first, it's no big deal, who cares, if you leave it unchecked, it will end up taking over the game, and that's why you see so many 10th prestige players in Modern Warfare 2. Even today, you can go into lobbies and still see that stuff happening. It happens with a lot of Call of Duty games because they're pretty much abandoned at this point. They don't need to keep them in check, they have other games, so they just let them go. So what happens if you do hack your Nintendo Switch? Or what happens if you do not listen to these warnings and you continue forward hacking your save files or your online accounts? You will likely be subject to civil claims court. Taken from the site itself. Happens to do when unfair competition. Civil measures. Injunctive relief. Claims for damages. Criminal penalties. 5 years in prison or 5 million yen or less of the fine, or of which both. Basically saying, you could base a combination of both. What I said earlier. So, you wanted to capture all the Pokemon, right? And you wanted to be the very best. So you took all your hacked Pokemon online and started battling online with the said hacked Pokemon from the save file that was modified. Now you're in prison explaining it to your fellow inmates why you couldn't pay 5 million yen to Nintendo over breaking a simple fair conduct rule set on their online services. And I highly doubt there's going to be a guy in the cell with you there because he too hacked a Nintendo game. Splatoon 2 in his case. But I joke. Alright? The point is, where there are leaderboards, ranks, and equal competition, and tournaments that reward players with real compensation, it causes companies to have to enforce fair competition. If you have ever had the displeasure of playing with someone who has an unfair advantage, it becomes like fighting depression. You really just can't win fighting it, so you're better off just quitting, ignoring it, and moving on, which discourages people from continuing playing that game specifically. You can understand that Nintendo, a company that is now dabbling in more online games than ever, would not want people to discontinue playing their games. Mario Kart, Splatoon 2, Pokemon, and Smash just being some of the biggest first-party games that Nintendo would want to enforce equal and fair play to keep people playing their games. Let's not forget, you are playing online, which means you pay for that right. Nintendo is no longer free online, which would also indicate the need to enforce this fair and equal play. Plenty of people would be very angry at the fact that they're paying for a service that isn't fair, that's not preventing hackers, that's not stopping this. So that's the story. It is illegal to modify your save file in Japan, and it would likely extend out to worldwide if you're using their online services. You really gotta read the TOS, guys. Clearly, if you're American and you're hacking your system, they're not going to extradite you out to Japan, but you'll likely fall under your law for your country specifically. There are plenty of countries out there that don't support these laws, and you can do whatever you want, but in Japan, in America, in other countries that fall under things like that, you're definitely going to have a bad time if you do decide to hack your Nintendo Switch. And again, if you are going to hack or mod your games, you must stay offline, or Nintendo might be able to just scan your Nintendo Switch and ban your accounts for any hacks. It could extend even further to just locking out and breaking your Switch itself. This would be difficult for those whom are offline, since Nintendo would not be able to just search for alterations on the system if you're not connected to their service. There are many ways to mod and hack your devices, but these legal actions reflect a world where games as a service are taking over to ensure fair play. It becomes a real double-edged sword to keep online play fair, right? Because preventing save file modifications, it means you rely upon Nintendo services rather than your own backups for your own save files. Hopefully, they would be able to provide you with an adequate experience to keep your saves safe. But again, I would way rather take care of my own saves than have a company that really doesn't care about me taking care of them. I put a lot of time into my games, and I'd rather keep them myself than have somebody else take care of it for me. But this does present a question. I wanted to close with this. At one point in time, we will stop owning our own investments. One could argue that if you want to use online services provided by a company, you have to play by their rules, and we have understood this for many years now. But when we accept online-only consoles, we then remove our only right to purchase games for a video game console and keep it offline and retain our privacy to do what we desire with our purchase. Consoles are not online only yet, and I'm shocked that it hasn't happened yet. Microsoft did attempt this with the original Xbox One launch and reversed it once they realized that that was a real bad idea. But these laws are now being enforced, and you could be subject to real prison time for altering your save files and hacking video games now. What do you think about this? Do you think that you should be permitted to do what you want with your own hardware, or do you think that once you sign the terms of service, it's all over? You let me know in the comments down below, and I'd really appreciate if you like and shared this video. Show your support for the channel by clicking that subscribe button and coming back for another video another day. Now, I've been your host, Pritamire, and I'm signing out, and I gotta bust my friend out of prison for hacking his Nintendo Switch. I'll see you guys in the next video.